Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne, and this is an Independent England Football Supporters Podcast. I hope I find you well. Now, as qualifying for the 2026 World Cup is well underway, well, for ourselves it is, we are 3 unbeaten games in. Victories over Latvia, Albania and Andorra means we are sitting top of Group K with 5 games to go. It's looking good, if I'm honest. But I know from experience it doesn't always turn out the way we expect it to. With the World Cup being hosted across the Atlantic this time next year, this episode, I want to take you back to the ill-fated qualification for the last time it was hosted that way. 1994. Please don't hit the stop button just yet, as shortly I'm going to be talking to someone who had first-hand experience of that tournament, and he's going to tell us all about it. 1994, probably the first thing that will come to mind will be Graham Taylor, Channel 4, and the phrase, "Do I not like that?" which is understandable. But perhaps there was more to it than that. These qualifiers were the first that featured San Marino, the Faroe Islands, and also Estonia, Lithuania and Latvia as independent states after the breakup of the Soviet Union. Yugoslavia was suspended due to the ongoing conflict there, so in total 37 UEFA nations were drawn from the pots on the 8th of December 1991. They would be split between 5 groups of 6 and 1 group of 7. And following the recent success of Italia 90, we were granted a top seed spot alongside Italy, Spain, Belgium, France and the Soviet Union, although they would dissolve and become known as Russia. We were pulled out alongside the Netherlands from Pot 2, Poland from Pot 3, Norway from Pot 4, Turkey from Pot 5 and San Marino from Pot 6. And we were all placed in Group 2. Initial thoughts were, a fairly tough group. Another trip to Poland. Turkey, well, that could be tricky, but we'd overcome them with ease in the recent past. But realistically, the general consensus was it would be us and the Dutch qualifying. The Netherlands, well, they were a nation that we'd faced in the previous 2 tournaments, Euro 88 and Italia 90. There wasn't the most positive of feeling, though, with regards to the manager. Following the defeat to Sweden and elimination from the 1992 European Championships, the Sun newspaper had already plastered Graham Taylor's face across their front page. They compared him to a turnip. The headline to the Sweden defeat was Swedes 2, Turnips 1. And it was a targeted campaign that was to continue throughout the red top sports media world. The group got underway on the 9th of September with Norway thumping San Marino 10-0 in Oslo. In fact, Norway would have played 3 times before we even played our first game. And that was Norway's 4th on the 14th of October, by which time they were top of the group with 9 points after beating the Dutch, and they'd also played their reverse fixture against San Marino. Now, England had 5 players that went to the previous World Cup. Chris Woods, Stuart Pearce, Des Walker, David Platt and Paul Gascoigne. But now there was no Gary Lineker. His last game came as he was subbed off in that game against Sweden in Euro 92. So Norway came to Wembley in confident mood, but it was England who took the lead for a second-half goal from David Platt.
Pierce low. Oh, goal! David Platt gets on the end of it for England. Graham Taylor's face betrays no emotion, but that's a relief, and the fist is raised. Driven in by Pierce, and there was Platt just sneaking out the foot to beat Eric Torsved here. A well-rehearsed move, and look at that, guiding it inside the goalkeeper's near post. Pierce from the other side of the stadium. Platt jabbing out a foot, and England are in front after 10 minutes of the second half.
Only for Rekdal to equalise later on. Norway were clearly the team in form and would have been thrilled at getting a point on their travels. On the same night, the Dutch drew with Poland in Rotterdam. But up next for England was Turkey at Wembley in November of '92. The Turks had previously beaten San Marino 4-1 in late October, and there seemed to be no rhyme or reason when the qualifying games actually took place. But going into the game, Turkey were third in the group and we were fourth, so a win was essential. And thankfully it came, thanks to 2 goals from Paul Gascoigne and 1 each from Alan Shearer and Stuart Pearce.
And Gascoigne again, lovely, goal! Wonderful! The expression of Laurie McMenemy summing up the feeling not only in the stadium but I suspect in the country. Paul Gascoigne has scored. Wonderful shimmy. They made a mess of it, the Turks, to be fair. Good challenge that won the ball by inch. England leads. Gascoigne scores his 3rd goal for his country.
Our next game wouldn't be until February of 1993 when San Marino visited. A win was expected, and it duly came in front of 51,000 at Wembley. 6-0, with 4 for David Platt, 1 each for Carlton Palmer and Les Ferdinand. Platt could even have had 5, but his last-minute penalty was saved. And we now had 7 points on the board.
John Barnes with a flick. And Platt came through and forced it in at the far post. 1-0 after 13 minutes. Platt going in. The linesman flags. It's another one for David Platt. Ferdinand. Platt is round the goalkeeper. David Platt has a hat-trick. The player who was 6 weeks old when England won the World Cup in 1966 has scored 3 times in a World Cup tie here on his first occasion as England captain. Adams just gone too wide, he can hook it back. It'll come for Dixon, will it? Platt has 4. Down goes to Rigo, and the referee has ruled against Manzaroli. It gets better and better for England. And who's going to take the penalty? David Platt is the captain.
I don't think we need to take too many guesses. Who's going to take this?
Howard Borton in 1882, Steve Bloomer in 1896, Willie Hall in 1938, Malcolm MacDonald in 1975. Players who have scored 5 goals in a game for England. Within a few seconds, they may be joined by the name of David Platt. It's Platt's historic penalty. Oh no! Benedettini saves. Platt's in there again and he's offside. But this agile goalkeeper has saved a penalty from Platt, and it stays at 6.
Next in late March was the reverse fixture against Turkey. It was England's first away game of the campaign, and previous trips to the country had seen us win twice and draw 1. But in the meantime, the Turks had lost home and away to the Dutch, so confidence on their behalf was low. Goals from Gascoigne and Platt saw us come away with all 3 points, and we now had a total of 10. But the next fixture on the 28th of April, well, this was the big one. Home to the Dutch, a chance to take control of the group. They were top of it with 10 points, ahead of Norway on goal difference. In fact, Norway hadn't played since our game in October. We were in third place, also with 10 points, but from 4 games. And we got off to a fantastic start. A second-minute goal from John Barnes, followed by another from David Platt.
Barnes beats him brilliantly for England. Just over a minute gone, and quite simply a sensational start. Got it back from Platt, and here's Ferdinand. Oh, against the post, and Platt has shown that great gift for goals. England grateful to David Platt again, who picked up the pieces after Ferdinand found the post, and it's 2-0.
Before Dennis Bergkamp pulled one back, and then Peter van Vossen equalised from the spot with 5 minutes to go. 2 points definitely dropped. The same night, Norway beat Turkey to retake the top spot, and Poland beat San Marino. And next for England would be Poland away in Chorzów. A win was essential to stay in contention, but it wasn't to be. Ian Wright grabbed a late equaliser in a 1-1 draw. Looking at the fixtures to come, well, it was beginning to look tricky, and it was starting to slip out of our hands. And next was a challenging trip to Oslo to face group leaders Norway in early June. Now, before the draw, fans would have looked upon this as being a winnable game, not a must-win. But that's what it was turning out to be. Taylor had been tinkering with his teams throughout the campaign and decided this was the game to bring in Manchester United's Gary Pallister and play 3 centre-backs in some sort of 3-4-2-1 formation. And qualification became even harder when the Norwegians won 2-0 thanks to 2 goals either side of half-time.
He's in here, Leonardson, and they've scored. 3 minutes left in the first half. The free kick was given, but it was taken quickly. That was the crucial thing. Fjørtoft was thinking quickly, and the cross was bundled in by Leonardson. Delight for Norway. Bohinen. Oh my word! Lars Bohinen, the surprise selection, has surprised Chris Woods, and England are 2 down. Well, England have lost here in Oslo on a night of ecstasy for Norwegian football. Severe doubts the chances of Graham Taylor's team to qualify for the finals. England with just 1 point from this 2-game trip. Graham Taylor now a target for what will be considerable criticism, I'm sure.
And it was now at the point where top spot was almost unachievable and second place was a must. The Dutch and Norway played out a goalless draw 7 days after our defeat to the Viking nation, and we wouldn't play again until September when Poland visited. 3 games left, 3 wins needed. And the first of those wins came against the Poles. 3 goals with no reply, 1 each from Les Ferdinand, Paul Gascoigne and Stuart Pearce. But both Norway and the Netherlands continued to win their games too. Norway beating Poland and the Dutch easing past San Marino with a 7-0 win. Then came the 13th of October. England travelled to Rotterdam and Norway went to Poznan. As expected, Norway came away with all 3 points. And unfortunately for us, we slipped to a 2-0 defeat following 2 goals in 6 minutes from Ronald Koeman and Dennis Bergkamp. That, though, doesn't tell the whole story.
Dorigo looking the likely candidate here. Merson there also behind the ball. Now, Tony Dorigo, can he rifle one in from this range? Oh, against the post! Fantastic drive there by Dorigo. Oh, there's Rijkaard coming in, but the flag is up! The flag is up! It won't count. It won't count. The Dutch will be disappointed. A great run from the midfield by Frank Rijkaard. Oh, my goodness.
He wasn't offside.
He wasn't offside.
I must confess, Brian, my gut feeling, and sometimes you go by that, was as he timed his run, I thought, we're in trouble here. And we've had the luck of a flag there, that's for sure there.
Well, Dorigo behind this one again. Merson hitting it as well, against the post. That's twice England have cracked the Dutch post.
In a game full of incident, Tony Dorigo hit the post for England in the first half, then Paul Merson hit it in the second, both from free kicks. Rijkaard had an effort incorrectly ruled out for offside just before half-time for the Dutch. And it could have been so different had Koeman not pulled down Platt when he was through on goal. Would have been an easy one for VAR these days. But he only received a yellow card and England wasted the free kick.
Sinton.
Can Platt get there first? Platt can get there first for England. That's got to be a penalty. Penalty given for England. The Dutch are claiming outside. The referee looked hard at the linesman. The linesman said inside. No. Has he given a penalty? A yellow card has gone to Donald Koeman. I think he's changed his mind. He's changed his mind and given a free kick outside.
Brian, is that not a sending off offence under the rules of the game?
Absolutely. Let's just determine first, though. That's got to be, hasn't it? I mean,
that's
he's
a penalty.
through with a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Red card. He's given a yellow. Graham Taylor can't believe it. He's being shepherded back.
Koeman with the free kick for Holland. A vital moment as two sides look for a place in the World Cup finals. The first goal could be so vital. Is that wall lined up? Can Seaman get a side of it? Koeman with a shot, charged down by Ince. Bergkamp tries to get it in. I think possibly Ince will get a yellow card because he got within 10 yards, so Koeman gets a reprieve for the second time and gets another free kick. So come on, England, let's see if we can hold it out again. Again, it's Ronald Koeman. Again, the problem is there. Again, it's a critical moment. He's going to flip one now. He's going to flip one. He's going to flip one, and it's in!
2 minutes later, though, and it's Koeman who slots in his own free kick down the other end. All this time, manager Graham Taylor was being filmed up close for a Channel 4 documentary, The Impossible Job. Well, this was him shortly after the game, clearly frustrated, as we all were.
Graham, I've watched you at close quarters in quite a few games. I don't think I've ever seen you so angry with the officials.
Well, listen, they can interpret it as a free kick or a penalty. That's up to them. Think about Wembley in Holland when Walker got hold of the fella outside. There we have a Danish referee that gives a penalty. Now, not only that, if they determine that is a free kick, FIFA amend the regulations of the law of this game and they insist that players are dismissed when a player... Look,
here it is again, Graham.
Gets hold of him, he's got hold of him there, and then now you go back to Wembley. Now that's there. Now even if they decide it's a free kick or a penalty, that one man should not be on the pitch. That is a FIFA rule, it's an amendment to the rule, and the referee today has not applied the laws of the game as we apply them honestly and openly in our country.
It was now all down to maths. All three sides had one more game left. Norway would surprisingly lose to Turkey, their only defeat of the campaign. The Dutch went to Poland and we travelled to Bologna, Italy, to face San Marino. England needed to win by 7 clear goals and hoped Poland done us a massive favour by beating the Dutch. Neither materialised. England famously conceded after 7 seconds. Or should that probably be San Marino famously scored after 7 seconds when David Galtieri scored following a mix-up between Stuart Pearce and David Seaman.
So San Marino kick-off. Remember that Holland on this very ground. Oh, it's a mistake by Pearce, and humiliation here. Gualtieri. I was going to say that San Marino conceded a goal in the opening seconds against Holland. Well, it's England that have conceded a goal here. Gualtieri is the scorer.
The final score was San Marino 1, England 7. But it didn't matter. The Dutch beat Poland 3-1. The group was over, as was Graham Taylor's tenure as manager of the England national team. Norway topped the group with 16 points, followed by the Netherlands with 15. Both qualified automatically for USA 94, and we were left in third place with 13 points. And the dream of going to the USA World Cup was over. We could say the team wasn't the strongest. Some of the players were past their best, namely Des Walker, who had been so reliant for his speed in previous years. Paul Gascoigne's form wasn't what we knew it could be, and we were troubled by injuries and form throughout. John Barnes only played 4 of the 10 qualifying games as he was troubled by an Achilles tendon issue. Alan Shearer only played 3 of the games because of a serious knee ligament injury. And this sort of thing led to constant changes by Graham Taylor. But the fact of the matter was, we travelled to Poland, Norway and the Netherlands and only picked up 1 point. We only scored 1 and we conceded 5. Norway were perhaps the surprise team of the group and they rightly won it. But we threw away a 2-goal lead against the Dutch at home, and we can blame the referee for not sending off Kuban in the away game. But ultimately, we weren't good enough over 10 games. But the World Cup of 1994 in the United States of America would go on regardless. Now, you may remember a while back, I took a look at each of the World Cups that England had participated in. And for obvious reasons, I didn't look too much into 1974, 1978 or 1994. But I stumbled across a Facebook page. Took me back to USA 1994. It was a page that has members' old photos uploaded to it, along with various anecdotes. I got lost in a bit of a rabbit hole, I have to admit. I was sort of remembering my time as a teenager, watching the games at home, remembering my Panini sticker album of the time. There was the mascot, Striker, the dog. It all came flooding back. But one person's photos and stories stood out. So I sent a little message, would you fancy a chat on the podcast? And he came back and said yes. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the Three Lions podcast, Jim from Tampa, Florida. Hello, Jim.
Russell, I appreciate you having me on. It's great to reminisce about this incredible time in football history, and especially my personally, my life. I look back at that summer, and there's been nothing like it since, unfortunately.
Well, there may well be next year, but we'll come to that. But no, first of all, thank you very much for agreeing to come on. I'm really looking forward to this. As I say, I was a teenager back in 1994. How old are you?
I was 11. I'm sorry. When the tournament started, I was 10, and I became 11 on July 7th, 1994. So now I will be almost 42 on July 7th.
A tournament birthday. Couldn't get any better, could it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Awesome. So, like, you're Tampa, Florida now. Whereabouts were you back then?
I was living in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is actually it's where soccer actually we call it soccer here, obviously, but football started in the U.S. It's one of the beacons, one of the major parts of soccer was started in my area, and it's called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of football history in my town also. Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, because I think it's safe to say back in 94, it must have been a bit of a gamble on FIFA's part to award the tournament to the States. Was there the buzz and the excitement around it at the time?
Leading up to the tournament, I think we could feel it, but we're a soccer family, so it might not be the normal feeling, what everyone else is feeling, but I remember my grandparents going to the World Cup draw in Las Vegas in the second week of December in 1993. And they brought me all sorts of signatures and Beckenbauer and Platini. And actually, they're on video right as Roberto Baggio is receiving his golden ball in that award show. You can see my grandparents in the stands there in the crowd, which is a cool thing. But getting back to that, for me and my family, it was very exciting. But I think you're right. I think it was unknown at the time. And I think it might have been a gamble, but I think it was a gamble that paid off ultimately.
Yeah, because I think even now, when you go back through the stats and all that sort of thing, I think they do say that 94 was the most attended World Cup with regards to spectators, although it was the most amount of spectators when there were that many games in a tournament, I think. So there was certainly the interest there.
Absolutely. I mean, they had the infrastructure. All the stadiums were here. They used, it was mostly football stadiums they used, if not all, I guess was and for the example, the Rose Bowl, it was over 100,000 seats. Mm-hmm. So right there, it's hard to compete with that, numbers wise, if you're comparing profit and all that, with other countries. So,
I mean, you say about your grandparents going to the draw. I mean, these days when they have a draw, be it FIFA or UEFA over here, it's all very much in like their own sort of hall with very few sort of outsiders can get into. How in the world did your grandparents get to go and see the draw? How did they do it back then?
Well, my grandfather was on the Founders Committee for the World Cup in '94, and that's really how he got a lot of the access. He was a big-time soccer guy in our country. He came from Hungary in 1956 during the Revolution. He actually played for Rennes in France, the professional team. So his life was affected, obviously, by he came from a concentration camp, escaped the concentration camp in World War II. And then he fled Hungary to come to the U.S. in 56. So he's a big soccer guy. And so he got on board early with the World Cup. I believe it was 88. I could be wrong. I think it was 88 when they decided that we would host it here. I think it was 88. And, I remember him having, going to meetings and stuff like that. And him bringing this big briefcase of signatures from the draw that year in '93, and it's just really cool. I knew something special was coming after they brought me that that big briefcase of things. I actually have a big Coke bottle still filled with the soda from that draw. So,
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Quickly name check your grandfather. What was his name?
My grandfather's name was Willie Ehrlich. William or Willie Ehrlich. He was actually the two-time American Soccer League Coach of the Year. It was the division under the NASL where Pele played and George Best played. And this was the second division, but the team that he constructed probably could have competed in the NASL. That's how strong they were. And I believe they scrimmaged multiple times. The Cosmos, where Pele played, and Beckenbauer and Carlos Alberto from Brazil was on those teams. And so they were, so like I said, soccer's in my blood, football's in my blood. So,
well, it sounds like we could almost have an episode on your grandfather, or there ought to be a book written about him, sort of the contacts he must have had. Yeah. Well, let's go back to the tournament. What games did you go to, or how easy was it to get tickets for the matches?
I don't believe it was easy. It was doable. I thankfully I ended up going to 8 games, 6 in Giant Stadium and 2 in California at the Rose Bowl, including the final. The first game we went to was Italy-Ireland in Giant Stadium, which was a crowd. And I'm a big I go to a lot of football, American football games, but I've never heard the crowd that loud that day with the Irish when they beat Italy 1-0 with Ray Houghton scoring the goal.
I remember that one, certainly, because I mean, I feel strange saying it now, but even back then I was rooting for Ireland because they were the closest nation to us. But yeah, that was a famous victory, that one.
Yeah. I was going to ask you who are you supporting, but that because normally if you have a rival, I don't know, it's hard to root for the rival, I guess. But in this case, I can see why you would. But I remember they were expecting a big Italian crowd, and it was the opposite. And I recently saw something where the Italian players were being bussed into the stadium, and they were expecting to see nothing but Italian fans, and it was like they were in Dublin when they got there.
Yeah.
So it was unbelievable.
I mean, the Irish have obviously got a large contingent in America, across America. I think New York is a very big Irish expat area, I believe. So yeah, even back then, and especially following the Irish in 1990, they had a good World Cup there. So their second World Cup, there's obviously a lot more excitement for it. Right. Okay. So what, Italy, Ireland you went to, what else?
The second game I went to was Italy-Norway, which was a great game, because Italy was forced to play offensively because of the early red card from Pagliuca. Their goalkeeper, Gianluca Pagliuca, had the red card. And, it ended up, they actually took out my favorite player, Baggio, and they had to play down a man, but they ended up having to, they had to move forward. And so in order to do that, they had to score. And so they had to play offensively, which was fun to watch. And then another example of the great crowd that, Norway had. I mean, I'd rather probably see England. I'm not trying to blow any sunshine up your skirt, but I'd probably rather see England at that point. But it was still fun to see the fans from Norway. Was fun too.
Absolutely, yeah. So you say Baggio, you're a fan of?
Yes, and I have another story. I don't want to go too far off the World Cup yet, but yes, Roberto Baggio is my number one idol.
How was that? Because I mean, was Italian football being shown in the States back then?
We had RAI. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh yeah, the channel.
Yeah, RAI. So we would watch it, and I'm leading up to the tournament. I was, easily manipulated only because he won the Golden Player, the Golden Ball the year before, and his ponytail, and it was just a magical scenario. And I guess I'll tell the story now. I ended up meeting Roberto Baggio 2 weeks ago in Italy.
No way.
Yeah, and I dreamed of this. I waited 31 years, and my girlfriend actually had a work trip in Italy. So I said, I'll tag along, and it ended up where I ended up meeting him at his house, and he was so gracious, and he signed my hat that I wore to the final in '94, and it was just a great time to speak with him. And I think I made an impression on him because he said he didn't get a lot of fans from the United States, and he was happy to see he made an impact of the sport here, which I felt was very special to me. Because it was just a long time coming.
I think it's sort of like I don't know, all four sides of the square sort of meeting up there, or a full circle or something.
Well, the last time I saw him, he was about 50 yards from me with his head down in Pasadena after he missed a kick, and now here we are 31 years later, and it is funny how it comes. But I figured you only live one time in this world, and why not try to make it special? And I was happy I met him. So
ain't that the truth? Oh well, nice one, well done. We could have left that till the end, but what a story. I mean, we'll come to the final in a bit, but I think didn't you go to see the quarterfinal in was it against Bulgaria and Germany? Did I see
one of my favorites
because that was a bit of a game, wasn't it?
It was incredible, and the week before I actually got started with my Germany-Bulgaria story the week before because we went to the Mexico Bulgaria game, the round of 16, And Bertie Vogts, the German coach, was sitting right behind me, one row behind me, right behind me, and scouting for the game. Whoever the winner would be, he would play the winner. So that's where that started. And then, yes, I mean, the quarterfinal was, I think, one of the greatest games in the tournament. There's a couple other ones that are, like Romania, Argentina stands out to me. Maybe Italy, Spain, but there's a few of them that really stand out. But that Bulgaria, Germany, to be there for that game was incredible. I mean, that Bulgaria team was just on fire, and it's a shame they haven't been able to do anything since.
Some of those players, Stoichkov and Lechkov, many great players within it.
Yeah, but we sat in the second row for that, right behind the German bench, right behind the bench. Wow. And I remember when Stoichkov scored. It was Lechkov that scored the second goal in the header. Sepp Maier, the goalkeeper coach for Germany, went crazy, was throwing water bottles all over the place. Water, hit up against the wall right in front of me, and the German bench was they were going crazy, how angry they were. And, I remember one of it might've been Sports Illustrated. I'm not sure which one it is, or a newspaper, but the day after or the week after, there was a photo of Stoichkov taking the free kick. I'm sure you're familiar with the free kick that I'm talking about, but it's funny because the picture shows the ball going past the wall, and Bodo Illner, the goalie, was looking on the other side for the goal, but the ball was already in the net. So it's a great picture. And, I remember talking to people, or not talking, but hearing about people that sold their homes from Bulgaria just to make the trip, or refinanced their homes just to make the trip to watch their team play. I mean,
crazy.
It was unbelievable. It was a great, like I said, once in a lifetime scenario.
I mean, we're hearing prices for, obviously the Club World Cup is taking place at the moment, and obviously the World Cup next year, and we're hearing prices that, quite frankly, are a little bit eye-watering. But was it expensive back then? Obviously, Bulgarians, you say, having to remortgage their house to go over. Was it expensive back then?
It wasn't as expensive, but you have to keep in mind the flights and everything and the hotels for these people. But per ticket, I mean, we had face value access. So, but I remember a lot of them being up there. Definitely. I remember there's ticket scalpers by the stadiums. But I really I'm not too familiar with what they were on the non-official market. I'm not sure, but I remember like the price on my ticket was like $4.75. It showed on the ticket, which now you look at it, it's like,
you can add a zero to that.
You can't even park for that, I don't think, anymore. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, so you went to, was it two stadiums, the Rose Bowl and
Giant Stadium? Yeah, correct.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Rose Bowl won't be used next year, but is the Giant Stadium used next year? What is that?
The Giant Stadium is MetLife now.
So that'll be the final.
Demolished. Yeah, correct. They demolished this stadium in 2009. The old Giant Stadium that I'm referring to.
Yeah.
And the new one, I'm not really a fan of. Most people are not a fan of. Just the structure of the building is not good. They have their VIP boxes on the field level. Therefore, the stadium's built on top of the VIP, so it makes it a lot higher than you were in the old stadium. But I would have chose a better place, but they have their reasons, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the Rose Bowl, though, is iconic. I remember seeing pictures of, obviously, like from above, and it's just like this oval of just a mass of people. But what I do remember seeing is the seats. They weren't sort of plastic seats that we know now. They were literally wooden benches, weren't they?
At the time when I was there, they were not wooden anymore. They were metal, but they were wooden at one time, and they were very uncomfortable. it kind of allowed people to sneak in that shouldn't be in, because at least when you have a seat, it's one seat. They can't sit with you. But if you have a bench like that, then it allowed. I remember a guy from England sitting right next to me in the walkway of the stairs that he told me he jumped over the railing and jumped over the fence and got in, and and you couldn't even walk. Like, you couldn't walk down the stairs. You couldn't go down. It was so many people.
Was this for the final?
That was for the final, yeah.
Did the Englishman tell you where he was from?
I don't recall that. I just remember 100% he was from England. I know 100% I remember that. It was funny guy, and I was just watching him the whole time. Half the time I was watching him just because he was so happy he got into the stadium.
Well, we're not all like that. We don't all try and get in for nothing, but some of us do try and pay.
Hey, I don't blame him. I don't say I blame him. So
yeah, Go on then. Take us to that final, Italy against Brazil in the Rose Bowl in the World Cup final '94. What was that like for 11-year-old you?
Oh man, it was everything I thought it would be, and just getting to the stadium and feeling the buzz around that stadium that day. I tried to go back. I actually went there on the 30th anniversary last year of the same day, the same minute, trying to feel that feeling again, but obviously it wasn't there. But it was something I just couldn't, and Italy was they were kind of my team. So I felt like, I'm an American, so I root for our country, but I kind of adopted Baggio and the Italians on that trip. So it was kind of like, I'm excited, but I also feel like we have to go win the game, and go win the match. And I was looking forward to that, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way. But I just remember the security and going through, and it was just unbelievable atmosphere that haven't been able to reach again, since then, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, were there a lot of Brazilians there? Because obviously it's not so far for them to go.
Yeah, it was all Brazil. And, it was a little unfair for the Italians because Brazil played, I believe they played in, was it Dallas, the semifinal? They might have played in Dallas.
Okay. Against
Sweden. And Italy played against Bulgaria, which I was at that game as well, a giant stadium. And they had to fly all the way across country, where Brazil only had to go a little distance. From Dallas to LA is not a big flight, but Jersey to LA is a big flight. That's 6 hours. So it's a little bit of it was unfair, but Brazil I thought was the better team overall. And, it wasn't a good match. It wasn't really exciting. There were a few chances. Massaro had missed a big chance. Daniele Massaro from Milan, and he was the forward with Baggio that day. Yeah. Missed a big chance, but other than that, it was I'm actually shocked Brazil didn't win in regulation, and I hate to see it go to penalties too. I didn't like to see that, but
this was one of the things that I remember at the time, actually, that from a British point of view, or I seem to remember like the TV saying because of American sports being sort of like high scoring, you've got your NFL and the NBA and the hockey as well can often be high scoring. Mm-hmm. When you've got the showpiece final that was, as you say, frankly not the best game, and it was goalless at full time, it was goalless after extra time. What was the sort of reaction from, I don't know, locals around, like, and yourself? Like, how were they taking to it? Was it boring?
I think for a lot of people it was. Inside the stadium it wasn't. It was all Brazilians, and mostly Brazilians inside the stadium, but but I don't mind I don't mind the 0-0 good game. I don't mind that.
No,
but it was a 0-0 not good game. That's the problem.
Yep.
And but I think you're right. I think the media and the American people were not they weren't really impressed by that lack of scoring in that game. Let's just say that. But it couldn't be said. The same couldn't be said for the third place game, where you had a lot of scoring the day before we were there as well for the.
Was that 4? Was that 4-3?
4-0.
Oh, 4-0. Big pardon.
Yeah. And so that was there. Unfortunately, I believe they were giving away free tickets for that game, from what I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't. Bulgarians, I think they were tired of they don't want to travel all across the country from Jersey so they didn't have much of a fan base there, and neither did Sweden. But yeah, I remember Hakeem Olajuwon, the NBA great legend, sat right in front of me for that game, for the third place game, which was cool.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, back to the final. It went to penalties, and unfortunately, your man was the man to put it over the bar and give the trophy to the Brazilians. But what was it like when? I mean, well, how did you feel when you saw Baggio stepping up to take it? That must have been exciting.
I was a little depressed. Baresi missed the first one for Italy, and then Massaro missed. And after the Massaro miss, I remember thinking, "Oh boy, if they make it now," and then Dunga made his, and then the pressure was on, and I didn't. Looking back, I didn't realize how hurt Baggio was, but he was not well. He probably wouldn't have played if it was a normal game because his hamstring was very bad. Yeah. But I remember as he was approaching, I was a little nervous, and just because it felt like an away game, it felt like it was all Brazilian crowd, and when you have that pressure and that noise in your ear, and then to miss it, I just remember looking at him. I have more pictures I have to find of that, but I have a picture of him with his head down that I took, and I was just staring at him, not disappointed because he did such a great job the whole tournament, but just it's just a shame what happened for him. But yeah, I mean,
there's so much to sort of take in when you're in that moment where you're watching Baggio, he's taken it, he's gone over the bar, he's standing there, as you say, famously, his head drops. But at the same time, the Brazilians are all running, going crazy because they know they've won it, haven't they?
Yeah, I probably would have rather have him make it, and then whoever the next Brazilian would have been to take it, I probably would have had that. And as long as they make it, it would have been. But it's no good to lose when somebody misses it like that. It's. But like I said, I give him a lot of credit because he kept pushing, and he had a great career after that. And
absolutely.
So it was. Listen, I'm sure it wouldn't be easy for anyone to make that kick.
No, it's one of the worst ones to miss a penalty, especially in a final. One thing I want to just ask is, obviously with the Club World Cup at the moment, there's been a lot of talk about the weather, and it being so hot and games being paused. Back then, it was hot, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very hot. The summer of '94, and I actually spoke to Baggio about that at his house 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about how hot it was that day in Bulgaria, against Bulgaria, not in Bulgaria, but against Bulgaria. And it's just saying it was hot back then too, and I really don't like. I'm not a fan of what they do with the breaks now. I don't like that. It's not the way they did it back then, and the game's evolved. It's not, most of like every sport, it's not really the same as it was 30 years ago. There's a lot of changes. Yeah. For whatever reasons, I think they happen to be, financial reasons. For example, how many teams they have in this coming tournament next year, 48 teams. That's for me. I just think they do it for the money, but
you're not alone in thinking that.
Right. So it is what it is, but you're probably going to get a lot of uneven games and 6-1, 7-1 games. And, but it is what it is. But, you're the weather here regarding the Club World Cup. I don't know if it's dampened the enthusiasm. I'm not sure what the reason is behind it. Maybe there was more excitement around the Inter Miami team because it's American-based club, and maybe after when they went out, I don't know. To be honest, I don't follow it like I used to, Russell. I don't follow it as much. So, maybe I'm not qualified to comment highly on that subject.
No, I get you. But I'm sure though next year, the excitement will return though. What's the general feeling in the States looking ahead to next year?
Yeah, I mean, amongst my friends, a lot of people are talking about getting, trying to figure out. I think it's going to be more excitement when everyone figures out where the teams are going to be placed.
Yeah.
I believe the United States is going to be on the West Coast, so I'm thinking about possibly going out to the West Coast to watch, just to see a game. But we'll see. I guess, like I said, it's a little far away. But I'm sure if this was England, they'd be ready to go right away. If this was, I remember when they hosted in '96 the Euro, how great that was watching that on TV in England. I wish they could have a World Cup there again.
Yeah, it would be good to have a World Cup here. It's something that obviously people dream of. We've obviously got the Euros in 2028 is a joint effort across the United Kingdom and Ireland as well. So that's probably the closest we're going to get to it in that respect. What's the thoughts of, like, for the American team? I know you've got Pochettino in charge at the moment. Brought into with the World Cup in mind. What's the feeling there?
Yeah, I mean, they came off a good win a couple nights ago, but I know there's a lot of unrest with the fans because a lot of the players are taking holiday now and I guess resting up for the World Cup. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't think anybody 20, 30 years ago would have done what these guys are doing now, taking off, taking breaks, posting holiday pictures on Instagram. It's unbelievable to me, but like I said, it's another world. But I think they're willing to give the coach a try. I mean, it's really not his players. He doesn't have a lot of time to mold the team into what he wants. So I guess we'll see. And they have a number 10, Diego Luna seems like a good little player, and maybe if they can somehow pair him with Pulisic, I don't know if they'll be able to. It seem like they're a little similar players, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I did read, like one of your posts said about your grandfather gave some tickets to some.
Great, yeah.
Was it Italia 90?
Sure. This was the semifinal, Italy against Argentina in Naples, and he was traveling with some sort of group from the U.S. and he had extra tickets that he somehow they lost his original, and then they gave him 2, and then they gave him the extra 2 anyways. And then he ended up with 2 extra tickets. And as he's going into the stadium to watch the game, he sees 2 boys with their torn pants, and, they were just school kids, just neighborhood kids, and just trying to see anything they could from inside the stadium. And then he walked over to him and he gave them 2 tickets, and they looked at like he was crazy. They looked at him like he was crazy, and sure enough, they got in, and they were sitting right with my grandfather at the 50-yard line, at the midway line with all the VIPs. It must have been some story for those kids,
Absolutely.
I couldn't imagine what that's like.
Oh, I mean, those sort of feel good stories are always great to hear, and sort of you hear all these sort of bad stories of, I don't know, sort of supporter mishaps or sort of violence and that, but to hear sort of stories like that is really good. Jim, it's been a real pleasure hearing about USA 94. I mean, is there anything else that you just want to throw in the time that we've got?
I just like to appreciate what you've done with your posts and your videos, and I do want to say one thing. My father's college coach at Penn State University was responsible. He had the US that beat England in the 1950 World Cup.
Sorry, say that one again. You just broke out there. He had what?
In the 1950 World Cup, when USA beat England, my father's college manager had the assist on that goal that beat England in the 50 World Cup. Yeah. Walter Barr, his name is. He's a legend here. And, I say overall England obviously probably has a better history, but that day the US got one up on them,
That game, I've done a little bit of research in my time, and I don't know if you know the story, but the British press here, the English press, thought it was a typing error that had come over from the States, and they thought that England had won 10-1 and had missed the digit 1 off. But yes, as it came through eventually, that the States had beaten us by a goal to 0. But
that's funny.
What a story that he put the cross in. Oh,
yeah, that's funny. I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh, Jim, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Russell, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I keep posting those pictures on the Facebook group, and I'll maybe share some of those around.
I appreciate it. I will. Thank you so much for calling.
Thanks to Jim there. Fascinating stuff. Love it. It's a weird one. I do remember the tournament in parts, but there's just something slightly missing when your team isn't part of it. Similar to Euro 2008. I'd have to sit down and think hard about that one. Although for obvious reasons, I'd prefer not to, as I'm sure as England fans you'd prefer not to as well. This is the theme tune for the tournament. It was called Gloryland, which in itself is very American. But as I mentioned about that Facebook group dedicated to the tournament, you can go search it out. It's called Copa Mundial Estados Unidos 94. Copa Mundial Estados Unidos, UNIDOS 94. Loads of old photos and anecdotes there. Since talking with Jim, I've got my Panini album out. I've had a good look through it. It's probably worth a few quid now, even if it's not in the best of conditions. But it is complete. But there's Alexi Lalas and Kobe Jones for the United States, who were kind of poster boys of the time. Hagi for Romania. There's the Brazilians. There's Dunga, Bebeto, Romario, Cafu. Is he still playing? Cafu's probably still playing somewhere. Here's Cameroon, Roger Milla. It says here he was born in 1952. If you know, you know. Spain, Pep Guardiola. Look at him, so young. Manager of Manchester City now, of course. Luis Enrique is there, now manager of PSG. Argentina, there's Maradona. Also, Carlos Javier McAllister, father of Alexis of Liverpool. Of course, World Cup winner. Then there's Italy, Baggio and his brother Dino, Pagliuca, Costa Curta, Donadoni, Baresi, Maldini, Signore, Mancini. That team was stacked, wasn't it? There's Ireland. Born in Manchester, born in Maidstone, born in Ealing, born in Liverpool, born in Preston. And there's the Dutch, Koeman. Not that I'm still bitter. Not after all these years. But there we go. A brief look back on USA 94. Perhaps you have memories of it too. Perhaps it was before your time. Maybe it'll make you go back and look into it a little bit more. There's worse ways to spend your time, I can assure you. But I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, you can follow the show on social media. Just search Three Lions Podcast and give it a follow, a like, a thumbs up, whatever you want to do. You can even leave a review for the show too at your provider of choice. That's always appreciated. And you can send me a message through any of those. Or if you'd prefer, a good old-fashioned email, threelionspodcast@gmail.com. Spell 3, T-H-R-E-E. threelionspodcast@gmail.com. As always, it's great to hear from you. But let's leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back with you very soon for some more England-related content. I hope you can join me for it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.